Hey there, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of CMPAC Spotlight. And if you've been watching, you know the deal. This is the show where we take you behind the scenes, where you get to see a little bit of insight about the shows that are here on Access 21 and get to know the producers that produce them. So here tonight with me is Cynthia Thompson from A Better You.
Hi, Dawn.
Hello, Miss Lady.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
You are welcome, and I had to give you that grand intro because we had you here before for like a snippet. So we wanted to bring you back and hear a little bit more about what have you been doing.
Oh, it's just been busy with everything, you know?
Yeah.
We really need more than 24 hours in a day.
This is so true. Wherever that came from, and 365 days in a year, we need more time. But of course, I don't often date shows, but I do want to date this one because there's a lot of things that are going on right now.
Oh, yes.
And at the time of this taping, this is April 20th of 2021, and talking about so much going on, we are still in this pandemic, and of course we have the safe distance here on the show, but tell me about yourself. How's your family, and how have you been in relation to the pandemic?
My family has been fine, thank goodness, and we haven't had any COVID-19 scares. We did have one with my niece that's away from college. And you know how college students are.
Yeah.
Wear the mask. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
So she ended up getting it, but she's fine. She had a slight fever.
Okay.
So she's fine.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. And as far as your show is concerned, I was just, looking on our roster, with video on demand. And I, of course, see that you still have your show going, but it's from previous interviews, correct? Maybe because of COVID?
Because of COVID, I don't want to put my team at risk or my guests at risk because this disease or this virus is so unpredictable and so many things that we don't know about it. So I just really want to keep everyone safe. And Dawn, I've been doing this for so long that I have enough shows that I don't have to really come in. But I do miss being here and being around the staff and my team and just learning things from other people too. I can't wait to get back in.
Well, we would love to welcome you back in, but I like what you said about the fact that you've been doing this for so long. You have so many shows in the can, and they're so interesting. So let's start with why you even called your show A Better You. How did you come up with that?
That is a good question, Dawn. And when I first decided to do this TV show, I wanted the theme of the show to be how to better everybody around me and other people and better themselves. So I kept toying with a better, then I said, A Better You. That's the name of the show because that's what we're trying to do, better everyone that's around here in the Charlotte and surrounding area.
Well, it's excellent that you talk about that because no matter what's going on in someone's life, we talked about the pandemic, but no matter what's going on, you can always be better. You're always learning something every day, right? And so what would you say would be something right now that you feel like people can make themselves better or can do better?
Some things that people can do to make themselves better during this trying time that we're in is to just stay positive and know that the end is coming and we are going to get through this and we're going to be much stronger as a people and a nation too, because that's going to bring us closer together.
Yes, I like hearing that because we do need to become closer together as a nation. And with this technology that we have with television, and I mentioned on demand with internet, and we live stream whatever is playing right now is being live streamed. And excuse me, people can also pull things up on so many different platforms.
Right.
So we are connected no matter where we are. And I know you and I were talking a little bit about this before the show, but there are people who are watching what's happening in our country right now. We can see what's happening over in another country right now. And so what would you say about us coming together as Americans and what everybody else sees in us?
That's going on here?
Yeah.
It's really amazing when you say that everybody can see what's going on. So that brings us together, make us connected too, and understand each other and what we're going through and how we're handling things. And, you know, if we just take a minute to just stop and think how the other person feels, and by being so connected the way we are with the internet and YouTube and live stream, that brings people together too. Even though we may not be sitting in the same room, we'll still, our minds are joining. And we're learning more about each other and understanding each other.
Have you ever thought about, you know, talking about something on your show that might be of international interest?
Oh my goodness.
Travel or something? I know you do travel.
I do love to travel now. And believe it or not, one of my earlier shows, I had a young lady, 2 of them in fact. One from Greece that talked about Greece.
Wow.
And one from that does tours of Italy. She came on my show. We talked about Italy, the history, and of course she cooked some too.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I dabbled in it a little bit, but I do want to do a lot more.
Yeah. Well, that sounds so interesting. I would love to go to both of those countries you talked about. But you know, this is why having a show like you do is so awesome. You can just kind of pull people into whatever you're talking about and just kind of make them be there. So, but other shows that you have done, I watched a show where you talked about foot care, foot health, exercise, and then one of the recent ones I saw was your interview of a fire chief, and you did a tour around the state. How was that?
You know what? It was so exciting, and you know, little kids, we see the fire truck, we want to ride it, and we really don't know what really goes on behind the scenes at a fire station. So I often wonder what it would be like to be at a fire station. And a lot of times that's where my shows come from, things that I'm interested in too.
Right.
And so it was so good to get that tour, to see the rooms, and I was just amazed at how well put together it is and how everyone respects each other there at the fire station. And I learned so many new things. Did you know that fire station where I did the tour of on Wilkinson Boulevard?
Okay.
It is one of the 2 stations that do water rescues.
Really?
Really.
Okay. So
yeah,
if someone is potentially drowning, whether it's at even your local swimming pool or the lake, what have you, just call the fire department.
Or if there's like a flood by chance in an area, they would be the ones called to go to it.
Okay.
And I never knew that.
Nice.
Yeah, so as I am interviewing people and doing things for the show, I'm learning too.
Right.
Which makes it so much more fun for me, believe it or not.
That is awesome. I tell you what, like I was saying earlier, there are so many things that we can learn on a daily basis that make you better. And having more knowledge about your community and what resources you have, that's excellent. And that's one of them. And I think on another show, I think it was in the studio, there was a fireman or fire person talking about fires in the home.
Right.
And it was so informative. Yeah. So what are some other things that you feel like we could learn more about in our community, in addition to what you did with the fire chiefs?
You know, I think that we need to, and this is one of the things I'm going to do, focus more on nonprofit organizations, because there are so many out there, and a lot of people aren't aware of the things that they can offer to help them with. It could be from support groups for aging parents, or it could be from, I interviewed a young man whose house caught on fire, and he talked about the agencies he went to help him get back on his feet from the house fire.
Right.
And how traumatic it was for him. I mean, I can only imagine, you know, if my house were to catch on fire, what would I do? Where would I go? So I believe it's important for us, and my show focuses on educating my audience on the agencies and things they could do to better themselves so they could be a better you.
Right.
Hence the name of the show.
Right.
And I think it's important because a lot of times you don't think about stuff like that.
That's true.
Like you mentioned earlier, the foot doctor. A lot of people believe we take our feet for granted, but they're so important because they're holding us up, and we got to take care of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you know, those are some hot topics that we, no pun intended, for the fires, but hot topics of, you know, what we're dealing with in our community, and that's important. And of course, we talked about the pandemic. That's a hot topic. Resources that we have in our community. What are some other hot topics, current things that
I want to touch
come across your
one thing I do want to do is to have a panel discussion with different religious leaders, because everybody seems to think that their religion is the best. But when you think about it, we're all worshiping a higher power other than ourselves. And none of them are wrong. And a lot of people think that this religion is wrong, that religion is wrong, but they're not, because we're all worshiping someone that's higher than us. You know, we aren't the be all, the end all, right? And I also want to do a show on more shows with our young people to get their thoughts and feelings about the current events or the things that have happened in the last 2 to 3 years.
Right.
Just what are your thoughts about some of the things that you have seen? What are your thoughts about how the country as a whole handled this pandemic? Because that's really going to impact the way they see our government, the way they see how science works, if they can believe what they say.
Right.
And I think it's important that we have those conversations with them. And have a little fun too. You know, I like to have fun.
Absolutely. Have fun. 'Cause there's a lot of things that are so serious. But, and kind of staying on the serious tip for a moment, and on our youth, because that's another theme that I have seen on your show. You have young people that have cooked.
Yes.
You know, young people who can definitely articulate what they are feeling. And just right now, a lot of young people have been involved in a lot of things that have happened in our country. And so what would you actually say to them? I know we want to hear from them, and we look forward to seeing that on your show. But what would you say to them regarding what they have been experiencing? You can just pick a couple things.
You know,
advice.
It's sad but true, but we've had several of our young people being killed by police officers. Yeah. And I think that would be a good conversation to have the young people on there, plus maybe a young police officer or maybe a seasoned one, to tell them how hard their job really is, and maybe have a roundtable discussion about what you need to do if the police stop you, and what not to do if a police stop you. And maybe the police officers can share with our young people some of the things that they see that trigger them to make the decisions that they made. Because, you know, our young people today, and we were all young too, we think we know everything. We'll never get hurt if anything happens to us. And I am seeing that our young people today are very vocal, and maybe they just need to be quiet for a minute and listen. And I think that would be a good show to bring those two groups of people together, just to have a roundtable discussion with our young people.
I like that. And for a moment, I'm going to put on the young person hat and talk to you, Auntie Cynthia, knowing that you're not a police officer, but you are Auntie Cynthia, and giving me that advice that you just gave about what young people should do if they're stopped. Okay, so I saw, Auntie Cynthia, all these people who did what you said that we're supposed to do, comply, and they still got shot, or they still got mazed, or they still got chased down, you know? So what's the answer to that?
It's very unfortunate that those things do happen. Just like in any walk of life, any occupation, you're going to have good and bad employees. And people that, we don't know what happened to that police officer that maced that young man in his car. Maybe him and his wife had an argument that morning and he was just in a bad place. And you know, we both have jobs. Sometimes we go to our jobs like, oh God, I hope they don't ask me anything today. You know what I mean?
Right.
And explain to them that, well, to you, that police officers are human just like you. You need to make sure you do the right thing. And if you know you're doing the right thing, you should be fine.
Okay, but still, Auntie Cynthia, I tell you, I know. I saw on Instagram, this guy was holding up this sign that said, the police are trained to have a gun and have a vest and have a billy stick and a taser and trained how to de-escalate the situation, but they always pop off, and the citizens are expected to be calm. So what is up with that?
You know, like I said before, and you know, I noticed a little bit off the subject, but I have told a friend of mine that we shouldn't worship ministers. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
They're human beings just like you and I. And those police officers are too. Just because they wear the uniform, in the back of their minds, they have in their head that, oh, this person is a bad person.
Right.
Because of whatever. Their height, their gender, their race, those are bad people. And that's what they think. And it's unfortunate, but we do have people out there like that. But the most important thing for you to do as a young person is to do the right thing.
Right.
And then you can rest easy knowing that you did the right thing. And I know it's easier than said than done, but that is really the bottom line.
Well, coming back to now, Dawn, and just, you know, kind of, because some of the advice that I give the young people too is the same thing. And one of the things that I did encounter back in Charlotte when we had the riots for the Keith Lamont Scott protests, there were some riots at night, usually always are, no matter where you are, whenever it is an upsetting thing. But there's the protests, and this young lady drove all the way down from Asheville, North Carolina, somewhere in the mountains. And I think she was about 19 or 20. And she was a Caucasian young lady, and she cried before my camera. And she said, for the police, I want to talk to the police. And she said, if some of the good police would talk to the bad police, then a lot of these things probably wouldn't happen. And she was just crying. And that was years ago. And I thought about that as I was seeing all the things that are happening now, because when you talk about them being human, it's you start there, and you can't get a pass from wearing a uniform, because that represents authority. It represents someone who's supposed to protect and serve. And she had it so on point, and I was just mesmerized with that. And then the part where the young people need to, get that energy going towards the right things, you know? And even when they still see the wrong things happening, it looks like they're really involved in doing a lot of the change. I've seen that. So have you seen that? I know you haven't been really doing many shows, but whether it's the protests, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it is trying to better themselves with education, you can start with your own family. Have you been seeing some initiative with our young people in any of those categories?
I know a few young people, and the young people that I'm familiar with or close to, education seems to be at the top of their list. Especially the young ladies.
Oh, okay.
They want to go to college.
Girl power.
And they have choices too.
Yeah.
And I am amazed at how smart our young people are.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I think is the key, if you think about it, because we were taught that as young children, that education is the key, will open doors for you, and they can't take it away from you, right? Right,
that's exactly right. I know, we know of stories where if people were kept from certain information, that just goes to show you it's powerful, right? So if you have that opportunity, you have those opportunities and the choices, that's excellent.
Right.
Yeah. And so, and our young men too, we have, you guys can't see it, but behind the scenes right here, we have an all male crew. We have a young person in the studio right now, a young man. And so, they're doing their thing as well. Do you have any nephews?
A few. It's mostly girls in my family.
Oh, really? Okay, so that's why you see all the girls.
Yes.
All right. Well, this is what excites me, though. All the young people, no matter what their ages, they are just really taking on a lot of issues right now.
Yes.
You're going to have a lot of material to cover.
I can't wait.
I know, right? So what do you think would be the next thing that you do for your show?
You know,
when you get back out there?
My show, I do think I'm going to start with a panel. I do think that.
What you said about the police.
The police and the young people together to talk about what it's really like to be a police officer. For the police officer to hear from them too. I think that's important. To hear both sides. To let everybody's voice be heard.
Right.
I think that's going to be one of my first shows. And you know, I've been toying with this idea of having shows where I have people just tell their story.
Okay.
Like, you were born somewhere, how you grew up, what brought you here, and where you want to go.
Yeah.
I really think that's what I'm going to do next, focus on next.
Well, everybody has a story.
Everybody has a story.
Right.
Yeah.
And whatever we all have had to deal with, whether it's this pandemic or unrest in our nation because of the racial tension, everybody is connected to that, and they have something that they have experienced. So that would be good.
And we can all learn from each other's stories, which is amazing. I can't wait to get back in here and do it, because I already got some people in mind to talk to.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm excited. Well, now, you know, we've been talking about some very serious things, heavy things, but you also talked about having fun. So tell us some bloopers that you have encountered in doing these shows.
How much time do we have?
Well, see, that's the fun thing about it. You know, I love her laugh. It's so infectious. That's the fun thing about it, is because when you have something so serious, so many things that are so serious, you have to have some balance. As we were talking earlier about the whole police issue.
Right.
So let's talk about the funny things and versus the serious things that you have come against.
Oh, Dawn, so many stories. Let me tell you maybe 3 or 4 or 5 or 6.
Okay, you have a lot.
I have a lot. So I share with you, I had the young lady from Italy that does the Italy tours.
Right.
She came on my show and she cooked, and oh my God, the food was amazing.
Really?
Cynthia's not a cook. So I was helping, and I had the egg in my hand. I was supposed to crack it. I dropped it on the floor and made a big mess. That's one cooking story.
You were supposed to be the sous chef, and you just...
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God. Another funny story. I had 2 little kids on my show, one 5, and I think the other little girl was 7.
Okay.
Of course, we had her, this 5-year on a platform, and she's 5. So we were cooking, the kids were cooking, and so the little girl was eating the little tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. She was, while we were filming.
She was supposed to wait until we had
helping.
Oh my goodness.
And a couple of scenes, she would walk off the stage and then come back.
Oh my goodness.
And oh my goodness, that was so funny. Every time I watch that show, I laugh.
We need to see that.
Oh my God.
What year did that happen?
Oh, this is a very long time ago.
Well, she's probably a teenager. Is she a teenager now? Well, then you need to get her back in here and show her what she did.
It was so funny. I was like, oh, okay. And you know, with TV, you can't stop it. When you're cooking, you can't stop.
Exactly.
Say, come back.
Right.
Oh, God.
Can't uncook the food and do it again.
Another funny story, funny, not funny. I had the Charlotte Purple Steppers on my show.
Okay.
They do the step dance. So I went and took the class for like 3 months. And my thought for them was like, y'all gonna come on and dance. I might ask a few questions.
Right.
But when the instructors came here with their dancers, they were like, you're gonna dance with us too.
I knew you were gonna say that.
What? I said, I need to practice a little bit more.
Did you dance with them?
I did dance with them.
Oh, I bet you did a great job.
The guy was telling me, turn here, step 1, step 2.
That's one of those where you got caught off guard.
Yeah.
Bless your heart.
And you know what, Dawn? I won an award for that show.
Are you serious? I bet it was because it was so authentic.
Yes, I did.
Well, that is awesome.
I could not believe that.
That is so awesome. We need to see that too, Miss Cynthia.
I still got it. Yes, you'll see it.
When you said earlier you have so many shows in the can that you can, you don't have to worry about trying to do something new. But I think if you did air some of the older shows and then bring some of the people back in, maybe do some commentary.
Good idea.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
I mean, I stepped on his feet a couple of times.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Bless his heart. Well, you know what? You show people what to do, maybe what not to do, you know, and encourage them to be a better them with that, right?
Right. It's okay if you make a mistake.
Yeah.
You just get back up and try again, right?
Absolutely.
I tell young people I see all the time, try it. What's going to happen if you fail? You just know better next time, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Not that you have failed or anything on your show, but I'm sure there's some things maybe that on your show that you felt like could have been done differently. Not the bloopers. We're talking about, because that's fun. That's fun. But maybe some of the things maybe you decided, you know, maybe I can tweak it a little bit here. Talk to me a little bit about that, because everybody who's watching, they may want to come and do a show as well.
Oh, they need to come and do a show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to hear their voice.
Right.
Yes, and it's so much fun. You would not believe it. And the time goes like that, doesn't it?
It does.
Before you know it, you're done with the show.
And then you, of course, you can make part 2 and part 3 with some of these topics. But how would you tweak some of the things that you saw that you could do a little bit different?
You know, one time I had a jazz band on my show, and I invited some friends to hear the jazz, and I had them standing up the whole time.
Okay.
It's like 45 minutes. That's a long time.
Right.
So I think if I were to have an audience with the band, I would have some chairs for them to sit in.
There you go.
Yeah.
And we have plenty of chairs here, but I know how it is.
Yeah.
You have to just kind of think about, kind of lay some things out
Right.
and get things in order before you actually
Do it.
come to the studio and do it.
Right.
Yeah.
It does take work. You know, you just don't just show up with somebody.
Right.
You have to do your research, gather your questions, and put it together, edit it, and then air it. And cross your fingers that everything is good.
Well, I like what you said about all those steps, because I've seen you do pretty much all of that. You know, except direct it. You know,
Right.
you
I
have a
haven't-
director.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you've edited your show and put everything together. As we close out, why don't you tell everybody when they can see your show right now?
We're done?
Yes, I know. Like you just said, stuff just goes so fast.
Oh my gosh.
I know it. So kind of let everybody know where they can see you some more.
So my show is A Better You. It shows every Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Public Access 21. And you know what, Don? That's how I close my show too.
Is that right? You tell them when they can see you, right?
Yes.
Well, that was perfect. Absolutely perfect. And so you guys, let me thank you for being here and have everyone out there tune in to her show. And this has been so fun. I don't want to stop the interview, but of course, you guys can catch Miss Cynthia, as she said, whenever she comes on here at Access 21, and also find her at your website.
I have a YouTube channel called A Better You Show.
Okay.
Where all my shows are at. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, well, you stay tuned for that, and also stay tuned right here for another episode of CMPAC Spotlight. And also look up A Better You on our video on demand. You'll find those at tvaccess21.com, and we'll see you the next time on CMPAC Spotlight.